The Philadelphia Big Five is an informal group of the college athletic programs in the city of Philadelphia: Penn, LaSalle, St. Joseph's, Temple, and Villanova. They all battle each other once per year in a college basketball city series, and this edition of Stadium Rivals will focus on one of those showdowns: Villanova versus St. Joe's. They call this one the Holy War because of the Roman Catholic religious affiliations of both universities. Some have called it the Army-Navy of college basketball, and it features plenty of history. So let's break down this showcase of Philadelphia powers on this Hoops edition of Stadium Rivals. Villanova and what was then St. Joseph's College, separated by just 6.1 miles, squared off on the hardwood for the first time in 1921. That game ended in a Nova 31-22 victory, and the school would dominate the decade. Villanova won 11 of the 12 matchups during the 1920s. The only other matchup in the early years came in 1939. That was until the formation of Philly's Big Five. University of Pennsylvania President Dr. Gaylord Harnwell announced the formation of the Big Five in November of 1954. It was touted as a chance to showcase the best basketball Philly had to offer. At the time, games would be played at Penn's historic Palestra, often called the birthplace of college basketball. St. Joe's won the restarted Holy War against Nova in 1955, 83-70, defeating all four Big Five schools that season. St. Joe's would finish the 1960-61 season 25-5 under head coach Dr. Jack Ramsey and made a run all the way to the Final Four. Villanova was going the other direction under coach Alexander Severance, but the Wildcats nearly upset St. Joe's, losing 64-63 in January. The NCAA eventually forced St. Joseph's to relinquish that third-place NCAA finish after allegations of student-athlete involvement with a gambler. The Wildcats won their first-ever City Series game over the Hawks 66-59 in 1962. Hubie White scored 23 points and grabbed 17 boards in the victory, and both teams would head to the NCAA tournament that March. There's a pair of memorable games in 1965 and 66, and the 65 game actually featured a bomb scare. At halftime, the fans were asked to leave the Palestra. When no bomb was found, the fans returned to watch the Hawks win 69-62. The 1966 battle became one of the most talked about games in Big Five history. After the Wildcats jumped out to a surprising lead, St. Joe's finally tied the game at 69 with just a minute and 12 seconds left. Reserve Steve Doncic entered the game for the fouled-out Billy Oakes and found himself in the corner, hoisting a shot at the buzzer. That shot fell in, giving St. Joe's a 71-69 win. The 1970-71 Wildcats were led by Howard Porter, who had pushed the team to the title game that season. But before that, Nova met St. Joe's twice in one season for the first time since 1923. The regular season series game went Nova's way 63-55. The teams then met at the Palestra in the first round of the NCAA tournament, easily won by the Wildcats 93-75. In 1994, the teams met at the Palestra for the first time in 6 years. Kerry Kittles and number 22 Villanova were the favorites, but fell to a small, scrappy Hawks team 60-57. This one had many moving parts at the end. Kittles never beat St. Joe's in his tenure. Phil Martelli would take over St. Joe's at the end of the year, and the Hawks would not defeat Villanova again for another decade. In the early days of the Big Five, each team would play each other in a round-robin tournament. But Villanova abandoned that plan for 8 years starting in 1991-92. But in 1999-2000, the school resumed participation in the full round-robin format against the other schools, and Gary Buchanan's 24-point outburst gave the Wildcats a 68-61 win. It took 30 points from Jameer Nelson and 25 from Delonte West to help the Hawks defeat the Cats 92-75 in 2003. It was St. Joe's first win over Nova in 6 tries as the Hawks started the game on an incredible 40-9 run over Jay Wright's Wildcats. The following year, Phil Martelli and St. Joe's would start the season 18-0, eventually earning a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament for a run to the Elite Eight. Nelson and West combined for 45 points in a 74-67 Big Five win. The teams did battle at the Palestra in the 50th anniversary of the Big Five in 2006. The winner would take home the crown, and Villanova, ranked number 4 by 25 points from Kyle Lowry, took home the 71-58 win. Starting with the game in '96, Nova has won 18 of the last 22 games in this rivalry. Villanova holds a 38-24 edge over St. Joe's all-time in the Holy War before they tip off in 2019. It's a rivalry that ebbs and flows in its importance nationally, but the Big Five's top rivalry is always a marquee event in Philadelphia and well-suited for a spot on Stadium Rivalry.